CTS XHP. Just from the way it grinds and the way it finishes and the way it performs. I actually did when Carpenter first brought that to market, we actually did a lot of work with them on using it in knives and how we were going to use it. And they sold me a bunch of it right away, and we made some knives out of it. And I made one fixed blade out of it, and it went around for about 3 years of passing around. I don't know how many pallets and tires people chopped up, or deer that they cut up with it and whatnot. And at the end, I ended up giving it back to Crucible, and the steel looked really good still. And it was just really easy to work, to where I thought it was messed up. It was so easy to work. Stopping. There comes a point where when you're trying to do as good a job as you can do on something, there's always something else you could do to it. But at some point, you just got to let that one go and move on to the next one. So or else you'll just keep tuning on it and tuning on it and tuning on it until it's ruined. So at some point, you just got to let go of that one and move to the next one. I don't know. I've drawn a lot of inspiration in some of the various things from a lot of people. Originally, I was taught to make folders by Stan Fujisaka, who I got a lot of some of the design elements from him, and from Ken Onion, from Rick Hinder. I mean, a lot of these guys over the years have been really good to me and helping me work on some things and helping me refine some things just in the philosophy of doing it. But I don't know if I could point to one thing and say I get a lot of inspiration from that or not. I just do my knives. Time management is the hardest thing we do, especially when you're a one-man show. Managing your time is the most important part of it. And to do that as a small-time knife maker, I think the best, or a small business, or even anybody else, goal making is important. Short-term, measurable goals, attainable goals. So when I first started out full-time knife making, my job, or my goal was to make as many knives as possible and to do as good as I could, which sounds like a reasonable goal, but you can't measure it. You never know where you are. You don't know if you're attaining it because it can't be measured. So you can spend a lot of time working really hard, but working really hard, no one cares how hard you work. They care about how much you produce in any job. So I decided that my goal when I first started out was to do 4 knives a week. 4 custom knives a week was my goal. Usually I'd get done Thursday afternoon, and I could clean up Thursday afternoon and work Friday and Saturday on something else I wanted to do for a show or something I wanted to try out and whatnot. But to know that I could know on Tuesday or Wednesday how I was progressing in my week's work, so I could know if I could quit early or if I had to work late, and I could measure my progress at any given point and know where I had to be and know if I'm keeping up or not. And that made my life a lot. I don't know if I got any more work done, but I knew where I was, and I wasn't always stressed out about, am I working hard enough? Or I knew that if I got my chores done and my 4 knives in a week, then I was going to be okay. Probably a talus. It's a good combination of size and still small enough to not be obtrusive. And that's assuming that I'm going to be doing the same kind of living that I'm doing now. You know, just general walking around kind of stuff. I kind of try to strike a balance. It's kind of a non-answer answer, but I try to kind of go down, I try to strike a balance. I don't know how to say it better than that. I'm not focusing on one of those over the other. It needs to be robust to a certain extent, but it still has to perform and do knife stuff, so it has to cut stuff. And sometimes those two can be kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. I mean, I made the EOD knives that I make that are basically for prying rocks out of the ground, and they don't cut very well because it's not what they're designed to do. but that's the specialized knife for doing one kind of thing, and that's not generally what I think knives ought to do. Daggers are, in a world where we try to do a lot of knives that are so multi-purpose, we try to do things that are, the Swiss Army knives, the multi-tools, they're one thing does 1,000 things not very well. Daggers are simple in their intent. There's only one thing that they're good for, and it's not for, whittling wood, or it's for sticking holes in stuff. And that's all they're good for, and that's all they're for. I think the simplicity of their design intent is really cool.